All right, welcome back, Recliner Sports Reporters, to another week's episode of Keep the Change podcast. I'm Mac, and with me, as always, is Robbie. Robbie, how's it hanging, brother? How's the
Uh,
Ohio fall? Your transition to winter here now. How's
it's
it going?
transition. We got snow on Halloween.
Did you
Was at
really?
work. Yeah, I was at work around. I think it was around 6 o'clock, 5:30, 6 o'clock. Went back. Bathrooms are like back in the shop, so I went, took a pee, washed my hands, came back out, and it went from no snow to we were in the middle of a snow globe.
Oh, dang, dude. Well, I definitely don't miss that. That's for sure. I'm loving the sunshine. It got to like 50 degrees today. I actually had to wear quarter zip today, so um it was a little chilly. Quarter zip and shorts weather down here right now.
Yeah, man, I was wearing long johns today.
Oh my gosh, that is miserable. Again, welcome back to Keep Change Podcast. We're going to give you our best bets for this week in the NFL Week 9. We have 3 games that we're going to be bringing to you tonight. We're going to be covering the Bengals and Bills, the Dolphins and Chiefs, and the Cowboys and Eagles. Also, remember to head on over to SoBet, download the app, and click the link in our social media channels to get all of our picks, not just the picks on here, but all of our picks, plus picks from over 50 content creators. They are amazing human beings with expert online opinions on bets that will help you take down the books. All right, let's jump right into this. So I'm going to say the best one for last. So let's just go reverse order. Let's go Cowboys, Eagles first. All right, Cowboys are going to be traveling to Philly. Philly is the 3-point favorites right now. Robbie, start us off. What's your best for this one?
Fly, Eagles, fly. So I think Philly rolls away with this one, but both great defensive teams. I'm actually going to go with the under on the points on this one at 47. I like, as I do every single week, Jalen Hurts for an anytime touchdown. All they got to do is get inside the three, and the brotherly shove is going to be initiated, and they're going to get Jalen in those thick thighs in the end zone. And the other one I like is AJ Brown's been killing it. I got him in 2 fantasy leagues this year. I stole him from my one buddy that's an Eagles fan. I sniped him right before I had the pick before him. I knew he was going to take him in the second round. I said, nope. But I even turned down a trade that involved me getting Jamar Chase in return for AJ Brown early in the season. Worked out for me so far, but I like AJ's over on his yards at 82 and a half.
I love those. I am also rocking with you on the Hurts anytime touchdown. I think that has turned
Yeah.
into a very good bet to take weekly. I'm also going to take over on Hurts rushing yards, and I'm going to double up with you, not just AJ Brown's yards, but on his receptions. Also taking his over
Yeah.
on receptions. Uh, I think Dak throws a pick. I think Dak struggles. This is typical. Two things are going to happen here. Dak's going to have a lights out game, or the more realistic thing that's going to happen is when it comes to big time games, especially on the road, Dak kind of falls apart. And so I think he definitely throws a pick. And looking at this line right now in Philly, -3, I'm loving the Eagles at -3 for this one. I really, really do like this pick. I think this is one of those games that if it follows the trend with what the Cowboys have kind of done, we're going to see them kind of play some ugly football. And I think the Philadelphia Eagles get this one done in Philly.
I
All
can't
right.
agree with you more there. I feel like Dak's always been that way. It's just big moment games against good teams. He seems to shy away from the light, crumbles under the pressure, but puts up numbers against the teams that he should beat.
Yeah,
So
this has one of those type of games kind of just written all over. And again, just basing this on, I'm not saying I don't think Dak's a
yeah,
bad quarterback. I'm just basing this off of
I
past
would
performances.
much rather have him as starting for my team than PJ Walker. I can promise you that.
Oh, that could be the trade of the century right there. You take Deshaun, send him back down to Texas, and you take Dak. Even
Just have to
trade,
wait till
even
this
steal.
offseason.
Um, all right. moving over to the Frankfurt games over in Germany. We got 9 a.m. Get your eggs and kegs ready to roll. We
Eggs,
got
eggs,
the
and football, baby.
Yeah, right. We got the Dolphins versus the Chiefs. I'll start us off with this one. I think this is going to be an ugly game. And I'll tell you why. The reason being, it's in Germany. Okay. People keep underestimating these travel times. But I said this
Yeah,
when the Bills traveled to London to face the Jaguars, and the Jaguars had already been over there a week. I said Jaguars plus 5.5 was free money, and they ended up winning outright.
that's
That
true.
players
You
talk
called
about
that.
it. They talk about it all the time. That travel over there is one of the toughest. Neither one of these teams are going to have the luxury of the Jaguars and spending a whole week over here. The Chiefs are coming off a terrible loss to the Broncos where their starting quarterback had the flu. Um, Also, Taylor Swift, we already found out, is not going to be in attendance. And Travis Kelce's stats right now without Swift in the game,
You don't even care.
shocking. All right. And the travel time is really going to affect both these teams. So I think, weirdly enough, that this is going to be an ugly, ugly team. And I hate doing this, but I'm advising taking the unders. All right. Take the unders on passing touchdowns for Tua and the passing touchdowns for Pat Mahomes. And the over under is set really, really high, 50.5. I don't see that coming anywhere close. I see this again. I mean, you're talking about the Chiefs could only score 9 points against the Broncos, and you're going to go and cover 50.5 this week. I don't think it's going to happen. I think the only things that are going to hit for the overs is a nice little over parlay. Take the over on receptions for Kelce and Hill. Those are the only two overs that I would take. Their receptions, parlay those two together, it's going to come out to about plus 250, plus 260. I feel comfortable taking that one. How are you seeing this one playing out?
Well, I'm with you on the under on the points. Just traveling from Columbus, Ohio to Seattle and back. It's been, I think, 3, 4 days. I still haven't recovered, and I was only over there for a couple of days. Granted, I basically pulled 2 all-nighters. I may have drank copious amounts of Jack Daniels and Jameson, and about a 20-hour straight span there Saturday between the Buckeyes game going out and having a good time painting the town red in Seattle. But it was great getting to see some buddies. Awesome city, by the way. If anybody ever get a chance, Lumen Field. I have all the respect in the world for Seahawks fans. That place was absolutely rocking, louder than any sports venue I've ever heard at any point in my life. And like it was, you just had to appreciate it. Even as a away fan, just all I could do is just look around like, yeah, I get they deserve that 12th man reputation. Like, yeah, kudos to them. But anyways, back to that. The only over that I have on this one, I have Raheem Mostert. His over on rushing yards was 50.5. I like him hitting the over on that. And Kelce, they had at 87.5 receiving yards, and same factor due to the travel and due to the lack of T Swift in the stands. I'm taking the under on that.
Dude, that's a safe bet. I mean, again, we're just
80,
going
that's a
off the
lot of
stats.
yards. Yeah.
That is. And they were showing with Taylor in attendance, he has over 99 yards a game, and with her out, his last game was only at 45. So you split the difference, her not being in attendance. I think 80 is a safe under bet there. And
Yeah.
again, like I said, and like you had mentioned, this travel time, people are underestimating this. I really do think. Now, I could be 100% wrong, but I'm feeling really confident here that this travel time is going to affect both these teams. Um,
How many high scoring games have we seen over there, though? Like London, Frankfurt, like any of those UK games or European games. I can't think of any of them that have been super high scoring.
Time to
It
fact check
seems like
this.
it's always sort of grinded out, kind of sloppy football in a way.
I'm looking these up right now.
Yeah. I mean, the
Let's
Jaguars, if anybody, seem like they've got it down packed, having probably 3 times more games over in Europe than any other team at this point. But
Final scores. London NFL games, final scores.
I don't think a team scored 40 over there yet, have they?
23-7 was one game. That was the Falcons Jaguars.
Mhm.
I know the Bills Jaguars one uh wasn't a big one. It's the only other thing right here is this 24-16 Ravens Titans. And I don't know the Bills. Oh, here we go. 25-20.
Yeah. So no team scored 30 points yet this year.
Exactly. So I think the Jaguars and Bills have two electric offenses. Now again, Chiefs and Dolphins have put up some points, but I don't think 50.5 is what is going to get covered in Germany. And again, that was the Jaguars having an extra week time over in London.
Yeah. I mean, this game's played in Miami. This game's played in Kansas City. I
Yeah.
take the over either way, no
Yes.
question.
Yes.
Unless
100%.
it's 0 degrees in Kansas City and 50-mile-an-hour winds, but just decent weather, either stadium. I think the over's safe, but I really just think that travel, just making that, I think I had about 7 hours both times.
Yeah, and it's a 5-hour difference in time too. So that means they're also going to be playing technically at 2 p.m. Our
Yeah.
time, or what they would usually be playing at 1 p.m. It's actually going to be 2 p.m. to them. So again, it's going to
Those
be,
all make differences.
it really is. It's going to affect it. And I'd say that I honestly have a feeling that this is going to be some ugly, ugly football. All right, the last game of the night,
Know
a
your
game,
favorite.
prime time game, and I think this is the second week in a row that America is weirdly enough going to be tuning in to watch the Bengals play. I think last week that was one of the most watched games on CBS and Paramount Plus was the 49ers Bengals, as it should have been. It was two great powerhouse teams. Now we're going right back at it, and what a beautiful time slot to go. Sunday night, prime time. We have Bengals versus Bills. Kind of not, we wouldn't say the rematch or
Come
the
on, it
game
is a
after,
rematch.
but I'm
There was
talking
so
about like
much around,
the
so
Damar
much
Hamlin
around
game.
these.
Yeah, not like the rematch of like, well, it's the Damar Hamlin game because they technically played in the playoffs, so that game already happened. But I
Yeah,
will say
but
that this is a rivalry game.
they use the snow as an excuse, though.
They did,
And this
but
is
both teams
this
had to
is no,
play in it.
yeah. This is somebody that's not. I don't dislike either of these two teams, but I'm not a fan of either of these two teams. But there, you heard a lot of complaining from one side that the snow was the only reason for the outcome of the game. But I had the same thought process. Didn't the other team have to play in that same weather, those same field effects?
Both teams had to play in it, and it was Buffalo's home stadium. But go ahead then. I'll keep it. Let's keep it rolling. Give me your thoughts on this big primetime matchup game.
So this one, I think it's going to be like just electrifying, fireworks all night long. I'm taking the over. The over, I saw 49.5 points.
Yeah.
I think that could cover by the third quarter.
Yep. Halftime.
I think this is going to be an exciting game. And didn't get in the end zone last week. Stephon Diggs is going to find his way in the end zone this week. I like Diggs for an anytime touchdown. And my favorite value bet of this game, and I'm going to tell you, even though both of my picks are for one side, I think the other side's going to win the game. But Dalton Kincaid with Dawson Knox being out, his over is only set at 37.5 yards. I think he easily covers 50 plus yards receiving this game. So as an alternate line, 50 plus yards, I wouldn't think it'd be outlandish to ladder that up. I might just ladder it all the way up to about 80 yards.
Bengals struggle with covering tight ends.
The Bengals have given up the most yards to tight ends for any team in the NFL thus far this season. That was another reason for that.
We forget about him in the middle of the field. I don't know. George Kittle tore us up with it last week. Kelsey usually kills us with it. Us and tight ends covering them haven't ever been really good.
Yep.
Um, what
What do
else
you
are you
got?
thinking? All right, yeah. So this line has moved a bunch, and I think a lot of it has to do with where the money's coming in from. It started at Bengals -3. Earlier this morning, I saw it at -1.5. It's kind of settled at 2. I see this game kind of going down to a pick 'em to 1.5. So I think waiting this one out a little bit more. I think more money's going to come on the Bills as we get closer to this game. The advantage, though, the Bengals have is going to be in the jungle. I am liking the Bengals at even -2 right now. Um, the bets that I'm rocking, and not just because I'm a fan, but these have hit the last 4 weeks. Okay, last 4 weeks, these 100% hit rate on these exact numbers. Chase over 7.5 receptions. Joe Burrow over 23.5 completions, and Joe Burrow over 1.5 passing touchdowns.
And
Okay,
those sound awfully familiar. Like you've been trying to tell the people.
that those are these exact stats to take right there. Take those, work them down. I know usually his completion, you have to take it as at least, and sometimes the bookies will catch on and it'll say like over 24 receptions. But if you just work it down to 23.5, you buy a completion, essentially a little bit less odds. But again, we're working off money here. And Jamar Chase, they're just feeding him. They're constantly feeding him. So I would say having him on over receptions for the time being is going to be great. I'm writing this one again only because I wrote it last week on a late add to my slip. Andre Yoshiva, anytime touchdown. You're going to get him at like +1,000. I got him at +1,000 last week. It was crazy to even take him for an anytime, but he still got in there again. You're going to get it's outlandish odds what you're going to get. So even just sprinkling on that and doubling up on the sprinkling on anytime touchdowns, Joe Burrow is starting. He went on a roll last year. He
Ooh,
hasn't
you
he
think he's
hasn't
on
found the end
one?
zone. Hasn't found the end zone yet. And Joe Shiesty turned into Joe Scary last week, smacking his helmet, running the ball, taking hits like a crazy man. So I think Joe Burrow gets himself into the end zone. On the
Heck yeah.
on the Bill side, I like an Allen anytime touchdown as well, and I like a Gabe Davis anytime touchdown.
Me too.
Um, and then Joe Mixon last week had a great game, got into the end zone. We called that one. I like his over on rushing yards. The Buffalo Bills rushing defense has given up over 100 yards a game. His over on rushing right now is only at 70. So I really like that at 70, over 70 for that.
Yeah.
And T. Higgins has been super quiet. I got two more. T. Higgins has been super quiet this year, so his receptions usually settle in at around 4.5. So I'd like taking his over on receptions for 5, and I'm sure you can sprinkle a little bit on an anytime touchdown for him. And I think if you kind of mash up if you take all the anytimes that we just listed, mash those up into a parlay, you're going to get outlandish odds for that, which all I think could hit. I mean, we're talking. I agree with you. I think this is going to be an electric, high-scoring game. And then the final one I got, Josh Allen to throw an interception. The Bengals defense has been a turnover machine the last couple weeks. I mean, the one pick that Pratt had against Brock Purdy, it was almost like, no, we kind of need a turnover right here. And he just grabbed that thing out of the air. Logan Wilson, I don't know how he does it. I don't know how he just is catching balls more than receivers on other
Yeah.
teams. I I
I mean,
think
I'm
the Bengals
surprised they
get an
didn't try
interception.
Wilson out at tight end at some point this year.
Right? That dude has literally gotten so many
Got great
interceptions.
hands for a big guy.
He's just a ball magnet, knows how to get in the right spots. So I think Josh Allen throws a pick in this game. But like you said, I think this is going to be an electric game. I think this is really high scoring. It's in the jungle. You got a lot of emotions kind of flying around because this is kind of return to where DeMar and the game last year happened. So I think emotions are going to be flying. I wouldn't be surprised if this thing gets like you said, like see like a 30 to 34 game or 27-33, something
Gonna
along
be
those. Yeah, I think at least one, if not both teams are hitting over 30 points, which that might be a team totals, both teams to hit
yeah.
over 30 points. That's a good look at a bet there too. All right, buddy. Well, any other honorable mention games you want to shout out?
Man, I feel like you'd be pretty safe on the Browns Cardinals game to bet over 2.5 total turnovers for the game. I don't know which team it's going to be, but there's going to be the balls going to be exchanging hands a lot in that game. We have no idea who's playing quarterback for us. I've never even heard of the dude that's playing quarterback for them. Their 5th round pick. I was listening to 850 this morning on the way in to work, and they don't even know where the guy went to college. And I'd never heard his name, but
Picked
hopefully
him
our
up from the
defense.
desert.
Yeah, it's some guy that was just. Oh, never mind. Not gonna get political. All right. Anyways, yeah, the ball is gonna get turned over a lot in that game. I like Myles Garrett for over a sack,
Yep. Got to be good for one.
and I think regardless of who's playing quarterback, I like David Njoku's over for his yards. It's been
Love it.
sitting somewhere in the 35 to 40 range on the high end. Some weeks it gets down into the upper 20s. The guy's just consistent. He's one of the most consistent players on the team. If we just get him the ball with a little bit open field, the big boy can move.
He has been my I'm in a couple DraftKings fantasy leagues. Um, he's my go-to tight end because you get him for super cheap, and
Yeah.
he
He
puts up
produces.
consistent numbers, very
Yeah.
consistent numbers.
You're going to get 4 to 6 catches a game, somewhere between 35 to 55 yards, and a touchdown every other or every third week.
Just solid performances.
Yeah.
And another guy who always has a big day against the Bengals. Um,
Yeah.
all right. Well, I'm excited. There are actually a couple good close games this week. I think the Texans. Who are the Texans playing? I saw that one. That one looked good again. Texans Bucks. I think that's going to be a good game. Uh, I think this Rams Packers game is going to be good. For some strange reason, the Patriots are favored against the Commanders. And then you got Colts Panthers, and then Giants Raiders. So again, you're like looking at like teams that like aren't doing
A
well,
lot of
but
the
the
bottom of
match
the pack teams, but then yeah.
it's going to be good matchups. Good matchups.
On the other end of that means that you also have to have top half of the league teams playing each other too. So
Yes.
there'd be a lot of good football this weekend, all the way across the board. Doesn't matter what game you turn on, there should be some pretty good football being played.
Yeah, I mean, even this Dolphins Chiefs game again. I don't. I know we said it's going to be an ugly game, but I mean, this is a potential playoff. This has playoff implications on
Yeah.
that game. So that I mean, if that's it, and two top. At least it's gonna. If it is an ugly game, it's going to be an ugly game against two great teams.
Yep.
I think what this Dolphins Chiefs games, I think the key is whose team travels better wins this game. And
Yep.
with that being said, the Dolphins historically don't travel well. So if I'm betting, I'm taking the Chiefs on this one.
I hate them, but that's never a bad bet.
Right? Except for last week, because
Yeah.
they screwed their minus 500 on a parlay. It
Well,
always comes to
the
it's always
Browns
the minus 500.
yeah, it's always the easiest pick. It's always the one that's like, I'll just add this just to get an extra leg. But, it's not really going to add much to my odds.
I had all the 1 o'clock games picked, or all the 4 o'clock games. Which one was that one? I think the 4 o'clock.
I was in 3 different time
Yeah,
zones last
right.
weekend. I don't know.
I think it was the 4 o'clock. I had them all picked right to a T except for that one. And I'm just watching as units just flying by, and I'm like, great, those could have been it. But thank God Yoshivara caught a touchdown, because that brought a whole different type of life back. And the Bengals ended up going off at plus 250 is what I got them at. So that was, yeah. So
Yeah.
big week. Due. I was due for one. It all comes around, right? Playing roulette and finally hit black after 13 tries. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in. Robbie, It was a pleasure
One
as
last
always.
thing.
Yeah, what's up, buddy?
Give a big rest in peace to one of the greatest coaches of all
Oh
time. We
man,
lost Bobby Knight, Orville, Ohio native. Man,
moment of
guy
silence.
loved basketball and he loved to coach. So
Big, big Bobby Knight, man. Learned to play basketball from that man. That was where I learned what grit and perseverance was with basketball.
oh yeah.
And you know what? Like how to be coached.
Oh yeah. And his players never sent anything back. They
Nothing.
just took it, understood they were getting yelled at for a reason. That was his way of communicating. And I actually had my freshman basketball coach, Coach Mac. He was from the Orville area as well and had some ties to Bobby Knight. He was an Irish dude. He'd get mad, and man, his whole face, he's got a slight red of hair. His whole face would be beet red. He'd be yelling, spitting mad at us, screaming. He threw clipboards and stuff. It kind of felt like, in a little way, there was a little Bobby Knight influence there that it was fun. He always said, you think I'm bad.
Ha!
I'm nothing compared to this guy.
You learn from the best, man. Yes.
Yeah.
R.I.P. to Bobby Knight. What a legend. And prayers to the old Hoosier family. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for tuning in. We love you all. Remember, again, head on over to SoBet for exclusive premium content. Click the links in all of our social media channel bios and enter referral code RSR to gain access to over 50 creators. All right, Robbie, good luck to you this
You too,
weekend.
man.
I'm sure I'll get you on the phone sometime tomorrow. And to everyone else, keep the change.